Well, since Star Wars is back to being all the rage of late, you all know the the very end of Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, where the Death Star blows up. Well, that's pretty much what happened to Dallas' season last night as Jordan Matthews crossed the goal line, scoring the game-winning touchdown in overtime, and the Eagles' big win in Big D to even their record at 4-4. Because um, you know, hey Dallas fans, the rebels just blew up your Death Star. um, so anyhow, yes, and I am looking forward to the new Star Wars movie coming out next month. But all that said, you know, the one thing that I know above all else, being an Eagles fan, a diehard Eagles fan, is there is one team that I can't stand more than any team in all of sports, all pro sports, and that's Dallas. That's the Cowboys. I can't stand them. To me, that will always be the big rivalry. I know some Eagle fans go with the Giants, particularly the older generations, and I totally understand that. But for me, it's always going to be Dallas. I grew up with the Eagles-Dallas rivalry. To me, that's the team I can't stand. They're local bandwagon fans. I can't stand them either. They're always so quick to, chirp when they're winning, and then you don't hear, boo from them when they lose. The good news is, and I say this to Philadelphia and E-Rock and Ripper and Eagle Speed and goodness, all the other countless Eagle fans who do these vlogs for our beloved Eagles. I'm missing some names there, but EDP, all the Eagle fans out there, whether you're in Pennsylvania like me, just outside Philly, whether you're in Philly, whether you're different parts of the country, different parts of the world. The one thing we all know is that Dallas fans love to talk, and they love to talk after wins, and they're very quiet after losses for some reason. Not all Dallas fans, and I'm not trying to make this seem like all Dallas fans do this, but I know enough who love to call in local sports talk radio and chirp and do this and that and make remind us about rings and this and that and all the glory to Dallas after they win. But then when they lose, they're pretty quiet. You don't hear them. They disappear. They go back under their rocks. Which is where they are right now, because Dallas' season, look, they're what are they now, 2-6? 6 straight losses after, unfortunately, they beat us to have their last win in week 2, which, as you all remember, and has been my most viewed video, after I kind of went off on a tangent there, after the Eagles were embarrassed at home in week 2 against Dallas. They certainly made up for that last night. It was a lot closer game. Look, I was telling this to my coworkers today. I'm like, it's a divisional game on the road. Most times when you play a division opponent on the road, no matter what the records are, it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a hard-fought game, and that's what it was last night. I mean, the first half was, okay, not that great, 7-7 after the first half. But then the second half occurred, and that's when things started to light up. Eagles made plays, Dallas made plays, and it just became one of those old-fashioned Eagles-Dallas games. And it was who was going to make the big play last. And thankfully, last night, it was the Eagles that made the big play last. And you know what? I said after the Panthers game, right? I was saying some things, and I said, one of my biggest beefs is the fact that the Eagle receivers were not catching the ball, in particular Jordan Matthews. Not doing your job, right? Do your job. The old Belichick line from last season. Do your job. And what did I say? I said, I hope in this off week, he gets some extra work in. Maybe he talks to his cousin Jerry Rice about what you do when you catch, to catch the ball, what you do after you catch the ball. And I said, look, last year he had a great year. And I know this year he's the guy. He's the lead receiver, right? The lead dog. Um, and maybe it got to him. I know in week 1 against Atlanta, he had a ball go off his hands for an interception to end the game. That seemed to kind of stick with him for a while. And it's a trust issue. Maybe he just wasn't trusting himself. Well, last night, coming off the bye week, and to his credit, he called in local sports talk radio and he owned up to everything about a week ago. He was talking about how he needs to be better, how as a unit they have to be better. They have to do their job, catch the ball. That's what they're being paid to do, right? Run the right routes, catch the ball, block, do all the things that a receiver has to do. And to his credit, he was very, forthcoming with it. And he said he's got to be better. And he knows he can be better. And last night, he showed you that he could be better because he had a heck of a game. And he made big catch after big catch, catches in traffic, out routes, running, slants, all the type of, things that we saw him do a year ago, which he wasn't doing this year for the most part, we saw him do again last night, including the game-winning touchdown. Which, by the way, and I know Jerry, making those McDonald's commercials with the cowboy gear on, that was a very Jerry Rice type of play. It was the catch and then run after the catch, the yak yards. That's what Jerry Rice was so great at. Well, Jordan Matthews, cousin to Jerry Rice, he did a pretty good job with that last night too. Had a couple of big yak yard plays in the game. Full marks to him. Full marks to Zach Ertz. Made a great catch down the sidelines in traffic. Full marks to Sam Bradford. Happy birthday, Sam. A day late, but that was a heck of a birthday gift there at the end. And thanks for sharing the birthday gift with all of us Eagles fans. To Eagles Nation. It's full marks to him. And you know what? Again, full marks to the offensive line. Talk about doing your job. They did their job. They opened up the running game with holes for the running backs to go through. They blocked, doing a great job with that. And they also protected Sam Bradford. They also protected Sam Bradford against a pretty good defensive front. And going into this game, even though Dallas came into this game 2-5, their defense had been playing pretty good, particularly their defensive front and their linebackers. Getting pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, getting some turnovers, wrecking some havoc. And the Eagles' offensive line, even without Jason Peters, you had Lane Johnson move over to Peters' spot against Hardy for the most part last night. Dallas is one of their top passers. I'm not going to get into the whole, domestic abuse issue with him because it's been said, and to me, the guy shouldn't be playing right now. But you know what? Enough people has said enough about that. I think it's a terrible thing, and he shouldn't be playing right now. But it is what it is. But that being said, Lane Johnson, hey, full marks. Offensive line, full marks. You guys played a heck of a game. Maybe one of their best games of the year. They neutralized one of Dallas' strengths, which was their defensive line and their linebacking play, and it opened up the Eagles' offense, particularly in the second half. They had a drive, which was a big boy drive, where they went right down the field to Marco Murray, running against his former team, who held him to 2 yards in week 2, and he remembered that. He had a heck of a game. He came to play. And they went right down the field, and it was one of those drives where the Eagles are going down the field, and here comes the injuries all of a sudden. Right now, Dallas is sucking wind. Now you got Jones looking like he just died on the field, and then he's back a couple plays later. Yeah. So they kind of did the old, we need time, we need air. Ugh. And it set up a touchdown drive for the Eagles, as it turned out. And that really, started to set the tone for that game. And look, Dallas made plays too. For some reason, the Eagles couldn't cover Beasley. I don't think they should have had Jenkins on Beasley. They did make the adjustment to put Biggers on Beasley, and you saw him make a play on Beasley there towards the end of the fourth quarter. I believe, if I remember correct. I was up kind of late last night, so I don't quite remember everything. But they just couldn't do anything against Beasley for some reason, who, the weeks prior, he wasn't really part of that offense, but now he was. It was like the Colt Beasley show for a while. Des Bryant made some plays. He's a playmaker. He's going to make plays. He made a heck of that touchdown, which is really like a Hail Mary heave that he came down with. That was a great play. That was, and you got to give credit where it's due. That was a great play on his part. But the Eagles, I felt in the second half did a better job neutralizing him, and it kind of became the Beasley show. Full marks to Jordan Hicks. Unfortunately, Jordan Hicks is placed on the IR from what I heard with the torn pectoral muscle, but he had a great pick six. I call it the pick Hicks. That was a great play, great read on that ball, and he just took it and went all the way. That was so beautiful there early in the fourth quarter, and unfortunately, the Eagles had a bit of a special teams blunder, which they normally don't, but they gave up a big return to Whiteside, and I think that's his last name, Lucky Whiteside, and I forget. Again, I was up a little late last night. The names are a bit of a blur. But anyhow, it was a tough one there, and then they gave up a touchdown. But I think that was on the drive where they had like that kind of crazy Des Bryant play. But again, you know what? So many times the Eagles had a lead, and Dallas came back. And to the Eagles' credit, they would get the ball and go right down the field again and get points. Now at the end of the fourth quarter, there were some phantom defensive pass interferences against Maxwell. The one, Bryant wasn't even looking for the ball. The second one, Bryant was pushing off. I mean, Bryant was that should have been offensive pass interference. But we all know Ed Hochuli likes to become the center of attention during games when him and his crew are calling the games. And he didn't disappoint last night. Way to go, Ed. Please retire soon. But anyhow, tough calls. But you know what? The Eagles overcame it. It just looked like one of those games. I mean, the Des Bryant play, then Bailey has the field goal that goes off the upright. How many times does that go off the upright and does not go in, right? But in this case, it goes in. It ties the game. And speaking of field goal kickers, again, we're going to harp on guys as a fan base when they're not doing good, but we also have to give credit when they are. And Caleb Sturgis, I know when he first came to the Eagles against the Redskins, had a flub of a game. Okay, and he's missed some kicks. Give him credit, though. Full marks to him. He made a money 53-yard field goal at the time to give the Eagles a 3-point lead. And if he doesn't make that upright bounce-in kick for Bailey probably wins the game for Dallas. And we're all lamenting this thing now today, right? Instead of being rejoiceful. So yeah, it goes to overtime. The Eagles win the coin toss. They go right down the field. And of course, we all know how it ended with Jordan Matthews scoring the touchdown and the Death Star exploding. The bad guys lose. So yeah, it was a beautiful thing. I was on the edge of my seat the whole game. I know that I'll give credit to Dallas fans too. I know Trey Spence made a video where he showed his reactions to the game as it was going on. I kind of want to do that, but it's just I never do. But I'm just on the edge of my seat the whole game. It was just one of those games. It's one of those all-time memorable Eagles wins. It's just one of those, moments, and it was a thing of beauty. It really was. Hard-fought win, and, people are like, Dallas is 2-6, they suck. Well, was that a great win? Anytime the Eagles beat Dallas, it's a great win, in my book. Okay, and I don't care how they do it, just beat those suckers, Enough we have to hear from their fans and gang on us about rings and this and that. And believe me, I know the history. I mean, I know that Dallas is one of the most storied franchises in football. I understand all that. But, I do know the history. And I'm not one of those people who doesn't think that, who thinks that, I should say, championships before Super Bowls don't matter. I love it when people who say they're football fans say, well, if they didn't win a Super Bowl, if they won a championship before the Super Bowls, it don't matter. It don't matter. Yeah, go tell the players who played back then for minimal wage and worked another job if it didn't matter to them to win, championships in the NFL. I mean, it mattered back then, please. I mean, you think Vince Lombardi was happy losing to the Eagles in 1960 to the point that he said, I never want to experience this again, and he never did. I mean, come on. People just, the lack of the history of some of these people. But anyhow, yes, I know the Eagles haven't won a Super Bowl yet, but they do have 3 NFL championships, 2 in the 40s and in 1960. The only team ever to beat Vince Lombardi's Packers in the championship. So there. But no, I know the history, but I also know what the present is. Okay, I don't just dwell in the past. I look at the present, and right now the Eagles are 4-4. They're in second place, a half game behind the New York Giants, who beat Tampa Bay yesterday, bouncing back from a loss to the Saints in that complete shootout that it was a couple weeks ago. So they get the win. The Redskins lose, as we all kind of figured they would, to New England, and the Eagles get a big win against Dallas. So now, even in a weak NFC East, some call it the NFC least, the Eagles are 4-4, and they have their own destiny in front of them. I think the word of the day is opportunity. It was the word of the game yesterday. It was opportunity. The Eagles took it. They got the win, and because of that, now they sit at 4-4, right behind the Giants, who they already beat this season, and they play them again at the very last game of the regular season in New York, or in the Meadowlands, I should say. So they have an opportunity. Now, the Eagles last season had an opportunity after a big win in Big D, right? Thanksgiving. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. Last year, I got real ahead of myself after that game. I was pumped, as you can imagine. Any Eagle fan would be after that demolition in Dallas. And it didn't work out the rest of the season so good. The Eagles lost 3 in a row, including the game against Dallas, and fell out of the playoff picture and lost out in the division title. So this year the Eagles are 4-4. They're playing Miami this week. They got Tampa Bay next week. They're at Detroit. 3 winnable games. And we all know in the NFL you just never know, right? But what did I say last week? I said going into the bye week, I figured the Eagles were going to lose that Carolina game. And I said after that, they have a chance to roll off 4 straight. Now they did the first one, right? They got 1. Now they got to get 3. Roll off 4 straight. Beat the It starts at home against the Dolphins, and we see what happens with Tampa Bay. We see what happens on Thanksgiving against Detroit, which, by the way, the Eagles are undefeated on Thanksgiving lifetime, including last season. And then you go into New England with extra rest, and you never know what could happen, right? I know it's the big bad Patriots. I understand all that, but you never know, right? You have an extra time to prepare for, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's worry about that then. This week we got Miami. It was a great win last night. Hats off to the Eagles. Hats off to getting that win, and playing better, particularly catching the ball. Besides Josh Huff, Josh Huff stinks. He should be gone. What is that volleyballing the ball? Come on, Josh. So yeah, it was a great win last night. Really exciting. Just one of those edge of the seat thrillers. Overtime. Now you got Dallas fans saying that Marigo's called heads. Yeah, they look for any reason. Why can't they just admit that they lost? Right? We didn't lose. There's always something. We're not supposed to lose. Yes, you were. Deal with it. The Eagles beat you. Your season is more than likely done. Even with Romo coming back, it's more than likely done. Okay, and again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because of what happened a year ago, but even with your quarterback coming back, I just don't see it. I really don't. I'm sorry. I'm calling it as I see it. I don't see it. I don't think they're going to win out with Romo there. They still have holes. Hey, anything can happen, but to me, we did blow up your Death Star last night. And even when even when they put it back together, it got blown up again. so there you go. But no, again, I do think that the Eagles took a big step last night. And now it's about building on that. It's about, okay, let's not have the letdown game against the Dolphins. The Eagles over the years have had a big win, and then it's been followed by a letdown. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen this Sunday. Because, even though the Dolphins are kind of, a down-on-luck team right now, they've played better. They've played better with Coach Campbell. They're taking over for Philbin. They have played better. They played with more emotion. And it's going to be, any game in the NFL is going to be a tough game. It just is. It's the NFL, right? So I'm not overlooking the Dolphins. I'm not overlooking Tampa Bay next week. But what I am saying is, you know what? When the Eagles beat Dallas, I get to be happy for a week. So I'm happy for the week. Because when they lose to Dallas, I'm not too happy for the week, as you saw in that Week 2 video. It's a horrible feeling. I'm happy the Eagles won. I'm happy the local bandwagon fans of Dallas can shut up. Probably we won't hear from them until next season. That's okay. We'll see you all next season. We'll send you a postcard. Let us know what rocks to send it to, and we'll send it to you. I know there's some loyal Dallas fans in the area, too. I know one of them, old gentleman by the name of Russell. I've met him many times at the Mitchell & Ness store, and he's a good guy, and he's a true fan. He always wears the gear, win or lose. I respect that. I do, because I wear the gear for my Eagles, and I know what it is, after losses. I've certainly seen my share of them. So I'm going to celebrate the wins, and I'm going to, be there through the losses. And but again, boy, beating Dallas is always so sweet. It just, particularly the way they won it last night, that was great. No. So the Eagles do get the win, as I said. They're 4-4, and it's opportunity. It's opportunity moving forward. They have some winnable games right now, basically 3 in a row. Will they win all 3? I don't know. I mean, this team's been kind of Jekyll and Hyde all season, so who knows? But if the offensive line can continue to play the way they did last night, and they can move the ball the way they did last night, because they were absolutely dominating Dallas at times last night, and it is a good defense that Dallas has. So, and it was in their building, in the Jerry Dome, and I mean, the Eagles were doing their thing. I mean, they were catching the ball, they were making big plays, they were running the ball. Murray, reminded the fans about what he once was when he was there. Yeah, he was a mad man last night. You see him just leaping over people and everything. You don't think he wanted that win? Absolutely. And the Eagles offense, great job last night. I know at times the one thing I didn't like is when they were it was 3rd and 6, and they would throw a 3-yard pass. No. Let's get away from that. Let's actually get past the sticks on throws on 3rd downs. But anyhow, defensively, I think for the most part, I mean, could they have played better? Yeah, I mean, again, they gave up some runs, but I think part of that is losing D'Amico Ryans. That's a big loss, and hopefully he comes back this week. There's a phone call I gotta take, but I will see you on the next one. As I said, sorry to cut it short, but go Birds! I'll see you in the next one. And by the way, Dallas sucks. See you on the next one.